Good morning, good morning, good morning again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by Autistics for Autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused. You know the drill. Please read the article. Share it on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC actually does see through with their threat. All right, folks. Trigger warning one. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to find vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? Trigger warning number two, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. All right. Where we left off, right? There may also be an underreporting bias due to impairments with provider recognition, which is related to the difficulties individuals would have communicating or otherwise demonstrating to providers AEs, including injuries. Interesting. Baby, you're not completely blind. You see what they're saying here, right? An individual who is being forced to wear that horrific device, monitored every second of their lives, including every single phone call with their family, are going to have a hard time reporting injuries from said device when they're being monitored 24/7. Okay? It takes a Herculean effort when you are stuck in a place like that, surrounded by people reaffirming what those psychotic people in white coats are doing to you. Who you going to report to? The mouse that found its way in the wall? You going to find yourself a garden snake? You know, some of us are self preservationists to our own detriment. I'll bring myself up in this. What I mean is, we're too logical for our own good. So instead of running from a place like JRC, we might continue to endure the torture, no matter how horrific it is, because we are too afraid of what the alternative would be if we manage to get away. Not just that, what happens if we get caught? What about the retaliation of the staff and the doctors? If the cops, which we know are in the back pocket of the JRC, just takes my happy ass back there, what do you think is going to happen? Okay? We think about these things, people who are more like me. It's a lot of the reason why it took so long to get out of the environment that I did as a kid, because I had these thoughts during the time where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, where am I going to get my clothes, who's going to feed me, house me, to the point of thinking about them to inaction. Okay? Yeah. What will the consequences be? Okay? Not everybody's a brave soul. I got braver when I got older and got the hell out of Psycho Town, okay? That's when I started getting brave. There are some individuals who have like brave running through their DNA, like Jennifer Masumba, like she bleeds bravery, right? I was never that person. I am practical to my own detriment, analytical to the own suckiness of my own existence. Okay? The type of brain that sees all the potential issues instead of what can be gained. This is why I surround myself with individuals who can see and will push me, while at the same time knowing when to back off. You get where I'm going with, right? Those kids who were more like me as survivors did keep things completely shut up until we felt we were completely safe. And by what I mean by that specifically is not just away from that place, but in a new place, surrounded and protected by other people. So I can't just be systematically dragged back to that hellhole. In a place that I was safe, protected, to the point of even my never ending circulating brain can accept it. And then little by little, the story started coming out of me. Okay? You have a lot of survivors like that. Okay? I'm going to say that in a situation like the JRC, you're going to have more of those type of survivors than you are going to have of the other kind, which makes people like Jennifer Basumba, like Andre McCollins, like Terry, and all the rest of them so damn crucial. Because those folks did miracles. They did the miraculous. God bless them for it. Let's continue to read, shall we? Notably, many such people have difficulty communicating because of such disabilities. I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to tell you why. Do we people with autism have problems with communication? Does the bear take a shit in the woods? Jesus Christ, yes. However, in situations like these, but you can't even communicate what's happening to you. Bullshit, Karen. Because even when my story came out, they acted as though I said nothing. Or my favorite, obviously I was making things up. I'm autistic and that's what we do. Never have I heard a bigger crock of shit than that. And that was told to me by a family member I trusted, who was literally entrusted with my care. Fun times. I don't miss them. Okay? A lot of times people with disabilities don't come forward because we already know nobody's going to fucking believe us. In fact, when I came out of that domestic violence situation back in 2014, when I was kicked out in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., only a coat and a backpack for it was January and frozen and I was wearing sandals. Okay? Bleeding from where a sword sliced through this hand. Thankfully, the cut was not deep, or I would be really fucked. But when I finally got to my mom's and I was safe, the reason why my mom told me not to fight for the rest of my shit that they all took, the reason why I didn't put up a bigger fuss and just did what I was asked, was because of what my mom said at the time. And she wasn't saying it to be cruel. She believed me. She saw my hand. She saw the police report. You know, that little thing called receipts. But she knew that no one would believe me because that family would use my disability and my past against me, and it just wasn't worth it. You know? We all knew how it was going to side, so I just let an entire lifetime of shit that I had acquired over my adulthood go, including the very last pictures of my dad that I had alive when he was still alive. Because disabled people, when we come forward to report abuse, are not believed any more than the folks who have mental health issues come forward. We've already learned that nobody's going to believe us. So it becomes, what would be the point? What would it do? Would it change anything? If you have a problem with the words coming out of my mouth right now, don't get angry at me. Get angry. Get really goddamn angry at the bastards that allowed a system to clamp down. Essentially, you allowed the system to be ableist, okay? You have allowed this system to dismiss and wash their hands of disabled abuse case after disabled abuse case. You sat there and you've done nothing. So if the words that are coming out of my mouth is particularly angering to you, don't yell at me. Get up off your ass and go do something about it. I don't mean get on Twitter and go tweet about it. I mean, literally get your ass up off the couch, put some clothes on, go to your state building, your representatives, whatever, and start raising a stink about it. Because the reason why places like the JRC still exist is because nobody can be bothered to get their ass off of their couch and out of their comfortable lives to start fighting that matters. I'm sorry. Whoo! It's time for my medicine, I think. Let's continue, shall we? SIB and AB are exhibited at disproportionately high rates by people with intellectual or developmental disabilities. I call bullshit. You all knew I would. Come on. You knew I would. That is absolute bullshit. See, the problem, children, comes from the fact of this different terminology to discuss the same thing. The reason why they do this separation is to put neurotypicals on a pedestal. At least that's what it looks like to me looking up from the ground here. Say, but it's disproportionately highly reported other than neurotypicals. That's because the shit that you called what neurotypicals do is called another term, which is not given the same amount of stigma as self-injurious behaviors is. It's called self-harm. Self-harm and self-injurious behavior, in spite of popular opinion, are the same thing. Okay? We're not just talking about what society actually recognizes as something that's a good indication that you need some help, such as cutting, for example, drinking, drugs, sex. All that crap everyone tells you is fun but is actually a train wreck to despair. Those are self harm. They call that self harm. They call that addiction. If I do it, well, I'm obviously being aggressive to myself, engaging in that horrible self injurious behavior they heard that all autistics are guilty of. See the problem here? Because I see the problem. It's not that it's disproportionately higher in my population than it is in the neurotypical world. What it is what you call it when neurotypicals do it is self harm, so as to not trigger those who engage in that dangerous self harm and giving them a stigma. But nobody gives a shit if you stigmatize those of us who are developmentally disabled. So you can use whatever condescending, high handed, ableist piece of crap terminology that you want to. Nobody even tries to fight you on it. What reason why I bring it back here is this is the inequality. This is the completely fundamentally inaccurate picture of a person who is neurodivergent that society and the world continues to print and push day after day, year after year, decade after decade. The fact of the matter is, neurotypical society right now is a train wreck. A train wreck. Okay? Alcoholism is up. Drug addiction is up. You got people like me literally willing to take CBD gummies and shit just to help me get my bearings. All right? All of these, alcoholism, drugs, excessive sex. But Tiffany, isn't that fun? It's only fun when it's not destructive, Karen. If you are single, off with another single person, just freak your little freak heart out, and I'm happy for you. Good for you. Go get you some, all right? I'm not going to be that chick. But there is an excessiveness that is destructive that will tear your life apart piece by piece. I've watched it happen to family members. Okay? That's the type of self harm I'm talking about, kids. Because we all know the risks. You know? Neurotypicals are every single bit as likely to do some form of self injurious behavior or act aggressive as any neurodivergent. In fact, I would argue that is the exact opposite. Because we are targeted and systematically bullied into either oblivion or just pissed off pure rage and energy starting in preschool. Okay. All right. Neurotypicals are not more, nor are they less susceptible to give in to self injurious behavior. The reason why people believe so is because we have normalized things that didn't used to be normalized. alcoholism, drug addiction. These things have been glorified and are just now on their downswing. But even with their downswing, you will find infinitely more people who are 1,000 times more compassionate for somebody who's trying to overcome alcoholism or drug addiction than you're going to find any compassion, sympathy towards an individual with a neurodivergent disability that engages in a similar behavior. Okay? This double standard shit harms everyone. Yes, even you, the neurotypical, even though it puts you on a pedestal. You know what they say about pedestals, don't you? You never know the danger until you fall off one. Notably, many such people have difficulty communicating because of such disabilities. Blah, we've gone over that. This difficulty is part of what makes these individual members a vulnerable population. Gee, ya fucking think. And here I thought it's because you slapped a label on my ass. Although these individuals are able to offer their opinions to FDA at the panel meeting through interviews and in the docket, most individuals at JRC currently subject to ESDs have reported IQ scores, have scores that indicate their intellectual impairments are profound, severe, or moderate. Okay, I am done with planet Earth. Why the fuck does my IQ have to hit a certain level before you can declare that it is okay to not shock me within an inch of my life? How disconnected from humanity or any form of human compassion are you? That if my IQ hit anything less than a 186 that it's sitting at, that you might think it may be okay if some punishment was reintroduced in spite of the fact I'm getting ready to turn 40 because it's for my own. I'm gonna need a whole lot of chamomile tea after this. You shouldn't have to hit a certain IQ point to be considered a person that needs to be protected. Okay? Jesus Christ. This indicates that those individuals at JRC are, to varying degrees, vulnerable due to difficulty communicating. Thus, the FDA cannot conclude that communicative individuals are representative with respect to their cognitive abilities of other individuals subject to ESDs. Bruh, I don't need to have a genius IQ to realize when you shock that fucker over there and he screams in pain and begs you to stop, that is actually causing that person pain. This is how stupid they think we are. They think that I am so profoundly disabled and goddamn stupid that I can't realize that when a person next to me is screaming in pain, it's because they're in pain. This is why I look for the comet every day of my life. If this does not tell you how the medical model and the rest of the world actually sees us, I don't know what will, but let me make it exceedingly clear. If you do not hit a certain IQ quota, if you do not force yourself to mask every single day of your existence, if you are not being productive or doing some form of therapy every second of your life, and you take even a second to blow off some steam, these individuals believe in those cases, then you're just not worthy of defending. I need you to wrap your brain around that and not get mad at the messenger, but get mad at the bastards that put the system in place that made it the way it is. I want you to get mad enough to go and march down to your fucking representatives and make some goddamn noise. Because if you want this stuff to end, it begins and ends with you. This is not a celebrity case. We're not going to have the whole world watching in the same way they did with the JD versus AH or OJ. Whatever work gets done, if we're going to close these places down, if we are going to change a culture where disabled people are systematically told to not report abuse because nobody will listen to them, if this makes you angry, get up off your ass and go change it. I'm going to go ahead and close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. Oh, God. I was going to close that before I even finished the sentence. I'm sorry, folks. I'm getting triggered today. Nope, we finished. Sorry. I don't have an edit button. Suffer with me. We don't have very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, you know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to utilize the comments. I appreciate your time. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you again in a few minutes. Bye bye, everyone.